The Aztecs were one of history's great civilizations. Their legends spoke of pale-skinned gods who travelled across the oceans on serpent-shaped boats. Was this just mythology, or could there be another explanation for this? In this video, we examine whether the Aztecs got their inspiration from an encounter with history's great explorers, the Vikings. This is Knowledge Voyage. The Aztecs were famous for their towering temples, feared warriors, and elaborate religious codes. For 100 years they dominated the Valley of Mexico. That domination was only ended when Spain conquered them in the 1500s. One of the key reasons for that victory was the Aztecs' initial confusion with their pale-skinned visitors who arrived on strange ships. The Aztec religion spoke of a mysterious god named Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl was a pale-skinned, bearded individual and travelled on the oceans in a serpent-shaped boat. But is there a source for this legend history may have missed? The Vikings. The Vikings were renowned explorers and sailed thousands of miles across the world in their search for food, gold and women. It is accepted that they sailed as far east as Kiev in Ukraine and as far west as Newfoundland in Canada, and we have a video on this which you may find interesting. The distance between Newfoundland and Kiev is just over 3,523 miles, or 5,670 kilometres. This is 500 miles shorter than the distance between Newfoundland and Mexico, which is 3,090 miles, or 4,974 kilometres. So the Vikings, who had proven they could sail from Canada to Ukraine, could certainly have made it to Mexico. There is, however, one problem. The Aztec and Viking periods don't quite perfectly align. The Viking Age ended several centuries before the Aztec Empire began, but the Aztecs drew their religious beliefs from an earlier empire, the Mayan Empire. Critically, the Mayan Empire and Viking Age do align rather well. The Mayan Empire was arguably at its peak around the year 1000, which interestingly is about the time the Vikings were making it to the New World. Another fact that makes this date interesting is that the Norse saga Eyrbyggja saga was written around then. This tale dates from around 1030 AD, and tells the tale of Norse explorers who set off for Greenland. However, they are blown off course by a storm, and arrive in a land to the west where the inhabitants carry long poles, had fringed hair, and painted their bodies. This would all be consistent with Mayan practices of colouring the body with paints and using long spears in both ceremonial and warfare practices. Furthermore, the Vikings mentioned how they were taken captive, and the taking of captives for ceremonial sacrifice was a feature of Mesoamerican warfare. So it is possible, given this, that the Vikings and Mayans did interact. It is likely neither side forgot this encounter. The Vikings wrote it in their famous sagas, and the Mayans probably commemorated it in their religious practices, and this includes carvings on the Temple of the Warriors in the famous Chichen Itza site. This depicts people with faces and hairstyles distinct from the Maya. Are they representations of the Vikings? The Aztecs followed many of the old gods and mythologies of the Mayans. As a result, they would have been influenced by pale-skinned men on serpent boats. Not gods, but Vikings blown off course. Maybe centuries later, this Mayan-Viking encounter would be remembered. The Aztecs would have been confused by the Spanish, who were also pale-skinned, had beards and travelled on strange-shaped ships. Before the Aztecs knew it, Spain had conquered the New World. Whilst we can never know for sure, did an encounter centuries earlier between Vikings and Mayans set the scene for Spain's conquest of the New World? Thanks for watching everyone, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.